I'm going to speak about compassion. Compassion is a very wide theme. There are very aspects to speak about compassion. But I'm going to try to choose something specific. And I want to talk about our tendency to look back to our past and criticize ourselves for mistakes we have made. And we are very hard in ourselves sometimes. And it's hard to forget the past and to live in the present. We criticize ourselves, we think, why did I do that? Why did I act that way? And we would like to go back and to do things differently. But I want you to think that when you made your mistakes in the past, I am sure that you didn't intend to make a mistake. You didn't wake up thinking, how am I going to hurt my spouse today? I think that I'm gonna do something today that will traumatize my child. Or maybe you thought, today I wanna ruin with my job. I wanna make something that, I'm gonna lose this job. I am sure that you always intended to do your best. You didn't wake up thinking about hurting someone, losing your job. When you married, you didn't think, I'm gonna marry just to make my spouse unhappy and to divorce someday. I'm sure that you thought about being the best spouse that someone might have. You wanted to make your partner happy. And when you had a child, you also wanted to give the best possible, to raise this child the best way. But you made mistakes that you regret today. The thing is that you were not aware that you were doing something that would bring some consequences. Every decision you made, you had a good intention. You thought that this decision would bring a good result. So I might say that when you made mistakes, you didn't know that what you were doing would cause those bad consequences. And you cannot really criticize yourself for something you didn't know. Because now, for example, you are learning and you are becoming a better person and you can make better choices. So I want you to think that you were formed in two different ways, by your genes and by your environment. And the very interesting thing is that you didn't choose any of them. You didn't choose your genes, so you didn't choose your temperament. Maybe you are an introvert or an extrovert. You might be a leader or a follower. And you didn't choose to be the way you are, your nature, your temperament. Also, you didn't choose your environment. You didn't choose your parents, your country, your religion, the schools you studied, your teachers. So you didn't choose the way you were raised, the value system that you were raised. So you became this person. And you started acting according to your genes and to the environment that you were raised. So sometimes we think that we really have a choice But we don't have much choice as we think, because most of our actions are a result of the way we were raised in our genes. So when we understand about that, we have more compassion towards ourselves. Because if we were raised in a different way, by different parents, different culture, different everything that I said, and we had different genes, we would act totally different. We would be different people. So, when you understand that, you start to have compassion towards yourself. Because you didn't choose to be the person you were and you are. The only thing that you can do is now. And the first thing you need to do is by having compassion towards yourself. When you have this compassion, you start changing. Because now you have acceptance. And by having acceptance towards yourself, you are making yourself a happier person. And by being happier, you are already changing in some way your world. Because now, when people feel that you are happier, they also feel better. And when you accept yourself, something starts happening also. Is that you have compassion towards people. Because now you remember that they didn't choose their genes either. And they didn't choose their culture, their environment, their parents, and the way they were raised. Maybe they had some traumas that you didn't have. And you might say, well, if it was me, I wouldn't act that way. I think that person is hurting me on purpose. And that person doesn't like me. But think, that person is not aware of what they are doing. They are doing their best. They have good intentions. So they are not purposefully trying to hurt you. And they are not really intending to do something bad. So when you have this compassion towards yourself, you have compassion towards people. Now think that by listening to this video, you are changing. You are becoming a more compassionate person towards yourself and towards people. And this change will cause you to have a different behavior, to be more respectful, more forgiving, more loving, kind, accepting people, and accepting yourself. So it means that you are working on yourself. You are becoming aware or more aware. And if you continue this process of growth, imagine 1 year from now how different you are going to be. But imagine that 1 year from now you look back to today and you think, wow, what things I have done, those horrible things. And you might regret, but think that today you are doing your best. Your best today is totally different than your best 1 year from now if you continue your growth process. And I don't want to let you off the hook or take away your responsibility. You can be still, you can still take ownership of the things you have done. But when you have compassion towards yourself, you take ownership because you're not gonna criticize yourself. Because when you look back to the past and you criticize yourself and you reject yourself, you're gonna try some way to get out of the hook. You're gonna try to excuse yourself because your guilty is too big to bear. But when you start having compassion, you can take ownership because now you accept yourself. You can say, I have done that. I regret that. But I have compassion towards myself.